Anyways, hello and happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm Philip Ryan Block. I don't like to say I'm the host of, but I'm the host of the Open Heart Collective, a bi-weekly or twice a week podcast, video, live stream, in which we have the necessary live, raw, real conversations about mental health. This particular episode, I am joined by one of my newest and closest friends, Jen Santoro. So I'm going to have Jen introduce herself, and we'll get the conversation going.
Okay, awesome. Well, I was so fortunate enough to meet Philip Ryan Block at this really awesome conference called SMADFAM recently in Charleston, South Carolina. A little bit about me. I have a background in communication, and I got to work in the nonprofit field, higher education field, and then actually became a certified life coach as well. And I got to spend 2 years working with first-year college students at the Florida State University and being a college life coach for them. And then ultimately started a private practice where I was coaching other entrepreneurs because I really believe in the entrepreneurial spirit and definitely felt the call. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I was going down that path, but I ended up deciding to do some work with my dad, which has been a pretty crazy journey in itself. He is awesome. Great guy. Also, too, you can imagine the dynamics that happen of like a father-daughter situation. Yeah. But we also have another business partner named John Rizzo, and then we decided to start a technology company, which is a video communication technology company, which allows collaboration through video, through email, social sites, all kinds of cool things, but we specialize in call to action technologies. So relationships can continue to grow from the actual videos themselves. And we have our chief technology officer, Prashant Shahari, who's the genius behind really building the platform out. But all to be said, it's been one heck of a journey that's led me here. So it's all kinds of different pieces that led to the present moment. That's a little bit about me. I'm really passionate about human potential. I think we'll just throw that snippet in there, is that the more we can talk about that, the most excited I'm going to be.
Well, I mean, I think that's where all this kind of comes into play anyways, because we're in the talk around mental health and the subject of mental health, it's all about what you realize in your potential and the ability to overcome maybe some really horrible circumstances and situations in your life to grow from and learn from and become something more, what's the word I'm looking for? Impactful, I guess, would be what I'm looking for. I love how I see like the phone like right here. Oh, Instagram, we're quiet.
Hold on, I'm so sorry. Technical difficulties here.
It's fine.
My video ended up getting paused. I don't know how to make it unpaused on Instagram.
Let's see. Removing you and then adding you back.
Thank you.
All right. Anyways, so there we go.
Okay, now we're back in the game.
It wouldn't be an Open Heart Collective episode if it wasn't for technical difficulties.
Awesome.
Every episode, all the time, without fail. Typically, it's a Bluetooth related issue. Oh, we're back. Not back.
Oh my gosh.
Instagram is fun sometimes, guys.
Ryan, I am so sorry.
I don't think it's you, though. I think it's just technology.
Okay, I'm going to exit out of there. I think what is going on is that...
Oh, you're back.
Okay. It could be the headphones are not registering properly.
I've got you, though. We're good. So.
Okay. What I might do is turn the volume down on my phone, and so hopefully there won't be an echo.
We'll see.
Okay. Let's try this. Is this feedback?
We're good.
Okay, sweet.
I'm getting a little bit of an echo, but Oh yeah, there's an echo.
All right, we're gonna try this again.
Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
Struggle is real. We're gonna get this interview going.
Conversation, not interview.
Okay.
All right.
We're gonna try. We're gonna see how it goes.
Well, hey, we'll make it work one way or another.
Yes.
Anyways, so
Mental health.
mental health. That's the subject matter. So for those of you who are unaware or don't know how this show works or what kind of the ethos behind this is, I'm honestly, I'm tired of seeing the news of where we lose people or where there are tragic circumstances that happen due to the lack of openness around mental health. The fact that we're not willing to have these conversations that are needed when they're needed. And then we have to read about what happens next. And that bothers me. I mean, I think all of us, especially us 30 somethings and late 20 somethings, know Chester Bennington and knew Chris Cornell and Anthony Bourdain and any number of these influential characters that we've lost because of mental health issues. And I'm honestly, I'm tired of it. I don't want there to be any more loss, unnecessary loss. Absolutely. And really, the biggest problem is we're not talking about it. We live in this culture, in this ecosystem right now where we're always on the offense. Go do shit, go hustle, blah blah. All the social media rhetoric that we hear every single day. But the one thing that we as a culture are not on the offense about, that we're not proactive about, that we're not hustling for, is our own mental health and the mental health of those in the communities around us. So that being said, what better way to do that than to have hour-long conversations with people I admire who have compelling stories, because I know that my story is not going to always leave an impact in somebody's world or help change somebody's world, but your story can definitely help someone else. And that's the mission of the series. And the series will go until I no longer have a voice. And then I will find somebody to have these conversations for me. Although lately I feel like I haven't had much of a voice, hence why there's not been a lot of content been put out by me. But anyways, so that being said, we're doing a show around stories and telling ours. So it's Jennifer's story.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for doing this work. I couldn't agree more with you. Unfortunately, there's so many of us that actually just suffer in silence. Mm-hmm. And I was one of those people myself for many, many, many years. And I don't believe that it was anybody's fault in any way, shape, or form. I think that just what ended up happening was I made interpretations of what I thought life was, quote unquote, supposed to be. And I pushed and pushed and pushed myself to formulate myself to form into what I thought it was supposed to be. And what happened in my story was I lost sight of what I would say my true self is. I had created this persona because I wanted love and acceptance from the world around me. And I didn't realize that those who love and accept me would love and accept me no matter what. They didn't need me to achieve anything. They didn't need me to fit into a box, but I didn't know that. And so I just kept going and going and going, pushing, ultimately running away from myself ultimately. And I was, I make a joke, I was a workaholic at the age of 7. You know, like I was involved in all the things. I love, like, I am like one of those people where I came into the planet and I'm like, I want to do as much as possible. I want to experience as much as possible, which is great and awesome in its own right, but doesn't lead to a fulfilled life if you don't know where it's coming from.
Absolutely. Could not agree more.
So when I was doing versus taking the time to be and taking the time to reflect and taking the time to actually listen to my own heart, when I was just in the doing mode, I felt so lost, and ultimately I just wound up very empty and exhausted and
Right.
in a very, very dark place that I was it was terrified to be in that level of a dark place.
I know that place well. I've kind of hung out in it for most of my life.
Yeah.
So
It's real. It's a real place. And the thing that's amazing is how many of us visit that place frequently. And we don't know. It's scary because it's a very lonely place, and we just assume that it's just us or there's something wrong with us. And in actuality, it's actually very, very common. And I think I'm so grateful for a show like this does, which is bringing to light that we're not alone in the journey. That
right.
I believe part of the human experience sometimes is we do have to go into contrast, and we do have to sometimes go into extremes to be able to better understand our life journey. And so what I have found now is that the love and appreciation I have for finding the light in my life now, I appreciate it and understand it at such a deeper level than I
Right.
ever would have if I didn't go through that darkness. And also, too, there's something to be said for when we come together and we support each other. It's so much easier to have the conversations when I can describe what that
Right.
darkness is like. And then ultimately hopefully normalize it a little bit so that that person that I'm talking to can like connect with the light that's within themselves too, and
Right.
find their own journey through it of what it looks like best for them.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to all of this. So we're in this time frame where we don't want to share, right? We really don't want to talk about it because this is uncomfortable, right? Like especially, and this is one of the things that Kelvin and I kind of went in on last week, being a guy. Like, guys, we're not
Yes.
supposed to talk about how we feel. Like, oh,
Yes.
you're hurting, rub some dirt on it, go walk it off.
Yeah.
But like, it's in those moments where you allow yourself to become vulnerable that oftentimes you find your strength, and that's an important piece. Because I mean, how many times do you wake up and you're like, I'm just having a bad day? And I love how I get like random bullshit comments on live videos. So I just tend to like report scam comments, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it. Because the one thing that I will say about this and what's being developed inside of this community is that this community is a safe place. This community is for sharing stories. This community is for being better than the rest of us. Like not better, but being the best version of you so that you can get through, so that maybe one day that you can actually inspire somebody to be great and to create change in themselves or in the world. I mean, that's where it all starts.
Absolutely.
So when you were going through what you went through, like what were some of those moments where you're like, either I don't want to do this anymore, or I can't do this anymore, or this is really tough, this isn't easy, like we all know this shit's never easy anyways. Like, I mean, being an entrepreneur, so let's talk about that. Being an entrepreneur is the definition of being insane.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Because we put ourselves through hell hoping that there's going to be an amazing outcome in a short, finite period of time. And then when it doesn't happen, we're like, fuck. Because I mean, we all want amazing things to happen. Well, at least some of us do. I'm not speaking for everyone. But like, what were some of those moments where like you were down and then had to like almost force yourself to pivot out of that? Because I mean,
absolutely.
The depression talk, I think, is a very necessary talk throughout this, because I think depression and suppressing one's own emotion is a big thing. Absolutely. And one that we're not talking about. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the entrepreneurship being a trigger is a very real thing. It offers the ultimate freedom, to be your own boss and to create the lifestyle that you want to create and to create a company the way that you vision of creating it. There's a lot of things that drive you to keep going. However, though, there's the realities of all the responsibility that comes with that you can never prepare for. I always say if I was told what the journey was going to be, I never would have signed up for it.
Wait a second. No. That's not how this shit works. You can't. No, I disagree with that statement.
No. What I'm saying is I probably would have had to really think a little bit more about what I was signing up for. I just say it was a blessing that I didn't know what I was about to face. Because let me finish what I was actually about to say about it. Because I had to face all my inner demons.
They're ugly as hell sometimes.
They are so, and it doesn't matter how they come at you in terms of like what part of life is going to trigger it out of you. Like for some of us, it's entrepreneurship because there's nobody to blame but yourself. It is the ultimate look in the mirror, day in, day out, and face every fear imaginable because it's coming up. You know, and for other people, it's a different part of life. It could be a relationship. It could be family oriented. It could be, it could be an illness. It could be anything, right? In my particular journey, entrepreneurship was definitely the main trigger factor because it's true. It's like every day there was some fear that I was going to have to face. And every day it was just living outside of the comfort zone. I feel like there is just the sooner I embraced, I know absolutely nothing. And I just have to figure it out every day. The way easier it became to be in flow and to go and to accept and to practice acceptance and to practice all the things that I said that I believed. So that's the other aspect of it was, you know, being thrown into a situation, or I threw myself into a situation where I had accepted concepts in theory that I thought I believed in, but then being in an entrepreneurial setting of how the heck are we going to pull this off day in, day out? It was like, I really had to practice everything that I said I believed in. And I would just have great laughs about myself to myself because I'm like, oh yeah, Jen, you say you believe this, but when push comes to shove, how are you really feeling in this particular moment in time?
Right.
So it is a crazy journey, but it's one that I don't regret at all. And I definitely, even though I said earlier, I don't know if I would have done it, I definitely would do it all over again. I wouldn't be living any other way. Like I absolutely love it.
Me either.
You know,
I wouldn't have it any other way.
It is a crazy experience, but it's so worth it. I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing with my life. And for that, I am so grateful. With that going back around to the original question about what were some of the dark times. So some of the dark times was when I really had to face myself in the mirror and recognize that I was putting on a happy face for years and years and years. And it was an act and it wasn't real. And when you're faced with all this responsibility, all of a sudden it's like you can't act anymore because you don't have the energy to.
Right.
So then I had to really look hard and see where
I can't hear you on Instagram. Hold on.
Oh, sorry, Ryan. Can you say that again?
I couldn't hear you on Instagram. I'm bringing you back. Maybe.
Oops.
Weird. Sorry, Instagram.
Okay, Instagram looks like it crashed down a little bit.
Yeah, I got a phone call.
Oh,
I tell you every single thing.
Okay.
Although I'm not hearing your audio on Instagram.
Oh, hold on. Are you getting feedback from me?
No, I'm just not hearing you at all.
What about
I'm hearing you on the computer, but not on Instagram.
Not on Instagram, right? Let's see. What about now? Anything?
Nope.
Instagram, man. Should we disconnect and reconnect?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
Sorry about this, Instagram and Facebook, for those of you guys who are watching over there. Let's see. Let's try this again.
Wait. I'm going live. What about now?
No, I can't.
Hi.
Instagram, why are you messing
So
with me?
sad. Well.
All right, well, we'll do this. Instagram, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Share that one. All right, so let's try this again. Sorry, everybody. This is being a little bit cumbersome today.
In the meantime.
All right, so we're back.
Happy.
All right, so we're in this, and then while we're getting everything synced back up again.
Oh, wait.
If you are an individual or know an individual who is suffering, there are resources that are out there for you, and find them, utilize them. There we go. I've got you now. So the resources for mental health are huge.
Yeah.
And I like to put myself out there because as a resource, as a light for people, because it's the world needs more of it. Anyways, if you need help, or really if you need somebody to just listen, because that's child in the background of the camera, go away. Next time you do that, you will be going upstairs. Do you understand me? The joys of dad life, everybody. Like, hey, I'm in the studio. We're having a conversation. Then from the back, there's a wave. All the time. I cannot
love
do a
it
live
though.
video.
It's so fun. It's so
do.
authentic and so good.
I'm glad you do. I find it annoying.
Well, yeah, I get it. I can only imagine.
Anyways, so my phone number's in my Instagram profile. Call me. Because everybody just, when they're going through a moment, whether that be stress, anxiety, they're battling with something more, whether it be depression or alcoholism or whatever the case may be, they don't want people to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
They want people to listen.
Yes.
I'm kind of good at it. Make it happen. Like, I make myself a resource for that purpose. So I'm still waiting for multiple people to take me up on the offer, but inevitably it'll come. So that being said, all right, back to where you're at now that we're past all the technical glitches.
We're back online. Well, we were talking about going into going into one of the times of going into the dark place, and I mean there was a moment, a very distinct moment in the journey where I just couldn't get out of bed anymore, and I was just in such severe darkness that the way I describe it is that I just felt like I lost the will to live. And it wasn't where I was coming up with a plan because my energy was so low that
Right.
I couldn't even think about anything other than just trying to just praying almost of just let me just go in my sleep, or please just take me now because I don't think I can keep going, because I lost sight of what I was here for. I lost sight of myself. I lost sight of the light within my own self. And what I learned was that I did not learn or understand the concept of self-love. That's
an important one.
Yeah. So I really was I felt overflowing with love for those around me.
Right.
But when it came to practicing love with myself, I really had to admit that it was lacking severely. And I really was like, okay, this is the one thing I haven't tried. And I know that I've heard the concept of like, well, you can't really love other people until you love yourself. And that sounded great in theory, but I didn't understand how to do that.
Okay.
And so
let's talk about that for a moment. So
great.
I had the honor to also meet your dad.
Yeah.
So although it was brief, we didn't get really like you seem like the household that you were raised in was one that was at least overly empathetic than most. Would you agree?
So the way that I would describe it, the family that we are today is very different from the family we were years ago. We've all done a ton of self work, and I'm very, very proud of myself and my parents, everybody who's in my family, because something shifted for all of us where
Right.
there's a time, and just to be open and honest, I feel like my parents would be comfortable with me saying this, that, you know, we lovingly refer to the years of me growing up as the dark ages. We were a family for a long time we just didn't know how to talk about things, and we swept things under the rug. And it was like we would live in tension for years. And
Right.
so as I was figuring out self-love, I witnessed my parents figuring it out for themselves too.
Right.
And so it's kind of almost this family project that ended up happening later on in life for us. And so that's why I always say, I'm like, miracles happen. And, you know, it's one of those things of if you would hear the stories of what I feel like we've all been through as a family, you'd be like, whoa, you know, there's no such thing. I've never met a family who really has it together. You know, like I haven't met that yet. And
Right.
I just want to bring attention to like that's okay. We're all humans doing the best we can. And, you know, we come from lines of, you know, not knowing what codependency is, for example. You know, like we just none of us knew, you know, we're doing the best we can with what we've got. But that's why these conversations are so important, because as you raise awareness around what these concepts are, it makes it so much easier to address and then make different choices moving forward, choices that feel more in alignment and that are coming from a space of love versus a space of fear.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was a learning process for all of us. So
I bet.
have awesome parents, but like, yeah, we've all been through it. Like, it was not an easy journey. We've worked for what we've got now.
And that's good to hear. It's because things not necessarily always going to be great, but they can become great one day.
Yes, that's exactly it.
You don't necessarily always know when that one day is going to be. Like, I mean, let's equate this to being an entrepreneur. You could create this concept or this idea or this strategy today, and tomorrow it could be the next biggest thing.
Right.
Or you could create this idea or this thing, and it could take 20 years.
Exactly.
You never know when, but that's the fun part, because that, I think if we always knew everything when it was supposed to happen, life would suck. Right?
Yeah.
But it's that patience and that internal fortitude to just kind of push. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what it's been for me. I mean, this journey of mental health is a slightly troubled one for me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've had the opportunity to kind of become a vessel for other people's stories.
Right.
And before being blessed with that opportunity, I always thought that mine was so terrible that what I was going through, nobody else was going through. That the things that I were facing were life-altering things.
Right.
That things were just so difficult. And then I get into the realization with the rest of it, then no, it's not. Like, it's not, mine was not nearly as bad as some others, but those others was not better or worse, was just different.
Exactly.
And how we handled it and the way that we talk about it now. And I mean, I remember those moments where you kind of have to talk the person off of a ledge.
Yep.
And you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
What do you need, child? Not for a while. No, you need to not bother me anymore. She was literally sitting right over here.
Tell her I say hello.
Staring up at me like a dog waiting for a treat.
Oh. Well,
Dad
side
life.
note, when we get off of this interview, what is one really fun thing you're going to do with her?
Chase her around the house because she's been bothering me.
Okay, tag it is.
Anyways.
So yeah.
But it's really, people of all times, now is when you keep calling me. Instagram, we're just going to roll. Mm-hmm. You guys can see me just fine. I can't see me on Instagram, but that's okay. Jesus. Anyways, guys, so real life, right? Like, we're trying to run an interview and people keep calling. And now literally my Instagram is a black screen. Hold on. This has just become comical. All right. I think we're back.
Oh, now I can't hear you though.
Instagram.
Let's try it again.
Seriously, like, this has been a really dope conversation, and now people keep ruining it. All right, are we good now?
No, can't hear you.
All right, Instagram, we'll be right back. I'm just going to share it, all of the episodes. It's going to be like a 3-part episode. All right, only right on Instagram. All right. So for those of you who are thankfully now watching this on Facebook rather than Instagram, this video series is also going to be recorded in audio form and will also exist in YouTube and other forms by the end of the week. So we'll deal with the chaos that has been Instagram today. There we go. I think everybody's in. And we're back. If I get another phone call, I'm just going to say I'm done. Anyways, so did I not say this before we went live?
Yeah.
That this was going to happen?
Yeah.
Every time.
Manifested it, man.
Like, I can't turn my phone off because Instagram, we're utilizing it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so those moments of darkness for you, let's recap what that part of the journey, and then what was your transition out? How did you make that move out? Because this conversation around mental health, while it's a very important one, it's an important one because it's as important to talk about the struggles as it is to talk about how we got through them.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And that's actually where I'm probably most passionate. And so what I was touching on a little bit earlier was about this discovery that I really did not understand the concept of self-love. I did not get it. And one of my favorite quotes that I came upon, and I wish I knew who said it, but it is, if we treated others the way that we treat ourselves, we'd all be in jail. And I love that quote because it felt so true to me. I'm like, I beat myself up so much. I'm like, this is probably why I'm in this dark of a hole. I'm not seeing the good in me. I'm just not seeing it. And it doesn't matter if other people see it at this juncture. It's not helping. It's not helping. Right. You know, this is about me needing to take personal responsibility to figure out, who am I and what is it that I really have to offer? And how can I really learn how to practice self-love and ultimately self-respect? Because at the end of the day, that was what I was realizing, was that I just didn't respect myself. And so what it came down to, and it wasn't like I was doing anything crazy or out there or anything like that. I think that these are just very real human experiences that we have of this severe self-judgment. And that comes from a lot of places, right? It comes from a lot of places that we don't have to get into in this particular conversation because
why not?
I think it's more of like, I just feel like it's a rabbit hole in itself, so we can come back to it.
All right, fair enough.
So I want to stay on topic of getting out of the darkness.
Got it.
So what I ended up doing was deciding to take vows for myself, where where when you, for example, get married, you take vows, and we have these sometimes in some traditions, we make a vow to love, honor, and hopefully respect another person.
Right.
And I just realized, like, well, how the heck am I going to do that with somebody else if I can't even do it with myself first? So I decided, okay, let me take some vows. And I was like, let me try to practice looking at myself as I would one of my friends. So, like, for example, if a friend of mine came to me with something that I was going through, what would I say to them and how would I treat them? I'd treat them really loving. I'd be really patient with them. I tell them that they're on path and they're figuring it out as they go. And I really would practice probably like a lot of lack of judgment for them, because it's a lot easier to do it for me in my journey. It was easier to be loving and respectful of other people than it was to do it for myself. So what I did was I flipped it and I was like, well, what would I do? What would I say to somebody else? And then I started practicing that on myself. And it was a slow process. Like, I will tell you, I did not get this straight out the gate. Like, it's now been years and I can say it's like an ongoing thing, but it's so much easier. Now it's way more natural to be patient and loving with myself and to not expect perfection. I think that was a big aspect of things, is that I had this concept that I had to be perfect. But I think it was weird because I had
of the perfectionist.
Yeah, 100%. But I had a double standard, because I was like, well, you don't have to be perfect, right? Like, it's completely fine. Here I am, like, doing all this like loving stuff, and like I'm a life coach. I'm coaching other people and practicing non-judgment for them, telling them that they, providing space for them to, find their true selves and have love and acceptance of themselves. And I'm being a hypocrite if I'm not practicing that myself.
Right. Like, we always talk, I mean, from childhood on, it's phrased in different ways, but we always hear the golden rule, right?
Yes.
How often have we actually internalized the golden rule?
Exactly.
Like, I understand, like, treat others how you'd want yourself to be treated, but treat yourself how you want others to be treated. Like that. I mean, that's self-love is such a huge portion of the mental health game, because I mean, we as the phrase is, we are our own worst critic.
Yes.
And when we're our own worst critic, what happens? We put ourselves down. We hold ourselves to this unachievable level of standards, and then when we don't hit our own standards, we have nobody to blame but us.
Yep.
And then that becomes this cycle of potential success, disappointment, potential success, disappointment. And being an entrepreneur, hell, being a musician, just being a human being, we all go through that. Whether you're working for yourself or you're working for someone else, we always go through that. And even if you're working for yourself, you're working for other people. So let's just bust that entrepreneur myth right now. You're always working for someone else.
It's true.
Because your clients make a paycheck when you're working on your own.
Yep.
So it's just a different person signing the paycheck is all. But like, that for me has been probably my biggest part, is I can't hold myself to such a high standard, because I got to cut myself some slack. Like, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to accomplish it if I'm consistently oppressing myself.
Absolutely.
So I said, fuck it. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get it done when I get it done. And if I don't get it done in other people's time frame, but it still happens, like, I still got it done.
Right.
And having the ability to make that acknowledgement inside yourself is key.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just bashing yourself and you can't keep it up.
Yeah. That's just it. And I think what it is again, it comes down to that self-reflection, that we need support to be able to do the self-reflection. There is sacredness in the alone time And I'm a big proponent of making sure that you have me time to just be quiet with yourself and get in touch with your own heart. But then it's really important to surround yourself with people that you can bounce ideas off of and talk things through with, and really help validate and normalize a lot of the situations as well. But again, it's choosing the right team, right, as well.
I like to call mine my trusted advisors.
That is awesome. Absolutely.
I'm going to make a t-shirt. It's going to have like my little signature logo thing on the front. And then I'll say trusted advisor on the back, and I'm going to mail it out to my trusted advisors.
That is fantastic. Love it. That's great.
Because I mean, there are certain people and certain things that I go to with everything, or certain people that I go to with everything.
Right.
And because like, guys, all right, you got to have a barometer for yourself, right? Because if you don't have a barometer for yourself, you're just going. And you don't necessarily, you're going and you're following your gut, but sometimes your gut is wrong, but oftentimes your gut is right. But who the hell are you to decide whether your gut is wrong or your gut is right for you and your situation, the circumstance? That like, there's so many contributing variables to make yourself happy. And then it's like, oftentimes what we end up doing is we succumb to traditional standards or senses of normalcy. And that is the biggest blow to this whole thing, is because you're doing amazing things, right? I like to equate it like a rocket ship, right? A rocket ship getting set for launch. They start firing off all the engines, right? But that rocket ship can't take off if the parachute is holding it down. What's that parachute in your world?
Yeah.
Like, you got to figure out what the hell that parachute is. It could be a circumstance. It can be a situation. It could be a person. It could be a place. Sometimes you just need to leave. And whether that be a person, a place, a circumstance, a situation, like, you got to do it for you, regardless of the outcome. The outcome could be terrible, right? You could hurt people in the outcome, but the pain inflicted on others they can get through, right?
So,
but the pain you inflict on yourself, or what you hold on to yourself, like I have a very, very dear friend who faced some trauma early on in their life, and they said I can't really talk about it. I have certain people I can trust with it, but I can't go to the person because the person is respected and the person is loved. And they were terrified about how that would potentially dismantle certain things. I said, where's the true pain? Is it in you, in holding it in, or is it in the outcome of what happens next? Like, you cannot continue to hold yourself accountable or hold yourself hostage to a feeling if that feeling is not something that's progressing your life forward in some positive direction. So like, yeah, it's going to suck. Having a conversation might not be the easiest thing to do, but you have to, because if you're not feeling it, like, let's say you're a basketball player, right? Or football player, whatever athlete, and you're amazing at 80% of what you need to do, but yet you can't seem to nail that free throw. Mm-hmm. You're not the rounded player that you need to be. You're not balanced. That balance is going to tip one way or the other. You're going to suffer, or other people are going to. Mm-hmm. Now that the people that could be suffering could be your team, could be your family, could be your friends, whatever it is. Like, if you're not you all the time, and you're not allowing yourself to live in yourself the way that you need to in order to get to where you need to go, whether people believe in it or not is irrelevant. Like, everything that you hear and see in me right now is because of everything that I've experienced leading up to now. The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, all of it. And we need to just allow ourselves to do what we need to do for us. Yeah, we got to take into consideration other people from time to time, right? You can't be selfish with it. It's a balance.
It is a balance.
To quote music, it's fine tuning, it's mastering the situation.
That's exactly
right. You just got to get that proper dial in to get the balance and the EQ going. Otherwise, it sounds like shit. I am making a lot of references today.
You are, sir. Well, multiple things came up as you were talking. So one thing that has always stood with me from the coaching program that I worked with, and that I am certified through the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, IPEC, goes on to say that everybody's an expert in their own life. You are an expert in your own life. Nobody can tell you what's best for you. Like, nobody can do that. Only you can do that for yourself. And deep down, we always know what our truth is with a capital T. We always know where alignment actually is when we just give ourselves permission to feel it. It's just a matter of becoming okay with the fact that that is actually our truth, and becoming okay with the fact that actually this is what feels what's actually in flow in life, and this is what actually feels in alignment. And sometimes when we've gone against it for so long, it looks like chaos when we're trying to get back into alignment, because we have to almost dismantle everything in order to rebuild back into alignment. And so my big thing is, I will always feel my coaching clients always quote me on it. And I always say, I'm not making it up, people know this all the way, but I just say it all the time, which is, trust the process. There's something about the flow of life that will always be guiding you in what we need to do. It's always there. It is like a river. I believe in it so much, and I feel it. When you hook in and you're flowing in it, it's what they call it. You're in flow, and it's like you feel connected, and you feel everything that you've been searching for.
Right.
It's just a matter of giving ourselves permission to say yes to it.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I think you hit something right on the head with that.
Okay.
How often in life do we say, nah, I'm not going to do that because I don't know how my action in that move will affect this person, this person, this person, this person. That, because it might be the most right thing, the most correct thing, the most true thing for us, but we care so much about what mom, about what dad, about what significant other, about brother, or about business partner. But seriously, like, you can only ignore your truth for so long. And we were talking about this before we started. Before it comes and it smacks you square in the face.
It's real.
And then you can't ignore it anymore. And
then it's probably gone so long that now it's going to be that much more chaotic. Right? Because we've let it go on for so long, versus if we just
you've ignored the smack for so long that when the right hook comes in, you're like, ouch, that hurt. And like, okay, I gotta, something's gotta change. You might not know what that something is all the time, and that's okay.
Right. Totally okay.
But change is gonna happen. It is inevitable. Like change, death, and taxes, the three inevitables of life. Well, for us here in the US anyways. But like, that's it. Like, it all comes down to what you want. Now, we can't be selfish with our desire and what we want, because we do have to be considerate of others. But here's the proxy to that situation. If we are not truly happy in who we are in circumstances and situations, are we theoretically being true to that other person, that other circumstance, that other situation?
Exactly. That's the key reflection. Because what I will say is that what is true for us, if we're not being truthful with ourselves and we are making compromises that are against. Now, granted, there are certain things that are deal breakers.
Compromise, you have to.
There are certain things, but if you are compromising your inner truth and you are going against what feels right for you and what's in alignment in your life, that means that if it's not in alignment for you, it also means it's not in alignment for those who are around you.
Right.
In,
Or
in,
maybe,
in,
or particular people or particular
or however,
circumstances,
like different
however.
things, like it just means that there's a flow, there's a shift that needs to happen. However, though, we can collaborate with those around us.
Absolutely.
With respect. So I always say, like, there are difficult conversations that we have to have along the way of life, and and here's the thing, they only feel difficult because we live, at least here, I feel like we live in a culture where we kind of tiptoe around each other. At least I know for a while, I said my family and I, we didn't know how to have the hard conversations yet. We had to learn how to do that over time. But now, once you finally have those conversations, once you finally just say, you know what, like I'm gonna come from a space of love, and I'm gonna come from a space of respect, and I need to tell you my truth. Ultimately, what I always say, a gauge that I try to work for in my own life that has worked really well, I realize before I take on a really hard conversation, I need to come to peace with whatever it is within myself first. Because when I come from a space of peace, I'm able to hold a space in a much more loving and respectful way for that particular person that I'm having to have a difficult conversation with. And what I find is when I come from that space, it's so much easier of a conversation, and the person feels the love and they feel the respect, and they might not like it, but we can at least talk about it together.
Right.
And we can find our way through it of, okay, well, what is in alignment then?
Right. And that, guys, like that's the key. I mean, it's all in the balance.
Yeah.
It's a very delicate one.
It is.
Because you're balancing yourself and you're balancing others. And oftentimes we sacrifice ourselves for others. And in the mental health space, that's a big conversation. I mean, we could talk for hours just on that.
We can. First thing that comes up is compassion fatigue.
Say that again?
Compassion fatigue, where it's like you're giving, holding space until you are so drained, you have nothing left to give. And that is not good for anybody. Right. So it's like you were saying, finding the balance of how do we make ourselves a priority in a way of our own health and wellness, so that we're constantly making sure that our energy levels are at a healthy space. How can we make sure that our needs are being met so that we can be there for others in a really healthy way as well?
Right. Exactly. Spot on. So that's the question. How do we do that?
So it's different for everybody, right? But I'm a big believer in what I was saying about self-reflection. The more you can understand yourself of what gives you energy versus where you give your energy, it makes all the difference in the world. Like, it took me forever to figure out that I'm actually an introvert. For the longest time, I was putting on an act like I was an extrovert because that was what I thought the world wanted of me. But I was exhausted all the time. And so there's when I finally just realized, wait a second, as time went on, I was doing self-reflection. I mean, I need alone time because that's where I recharge. That's where I get my energy back, and that's what gets me ready to really be there with other people again. And that's the thing, is I feel like sometimes introverts are misunderstood. It's like, because people might think that they don't like people, and the reality is it's the opposite. Like, we love people. Right. It's just that we need the time and the space to process and to recharge. And when I learned that about myself, I started scheduling time for myself, and I'm a much better human being for all involved now because of it. And that's just one little example. But I believe how we do it is through self-reflection and just getting real with getting to know who we are. Right. And the unique, beautiful person that each of us is. Like, all of us are so unique. Like, it's so cool because, I love the dichotomy of that. I do believe that we're all interconnected.
Absolutely.
I go to the quantum level of energy of all of us feeling. We feel it. You can feel it when you feel really connected. And then at the same time,
and sometimes that feeling is just like not it's very subtle.
Right.
And sometimes those feelings are like, and you guys, I mean, I don't know, like relationships, let in that moment, like sometimes it's subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like your heart wants to run through your fucking chest.
Right.
And it's determining, all right, what's real in those moments. Is it the subtle?
Where's this coming
or
from?
Is it the
Yep.
Because
exactly.
It might be the subtle, it might be the other. You just never know.
Right. Exactly.
Until you know.
Well, and where I was going with this is that at the same exact time of all of us being interconnected, we're all individuals at the same time, and we all offer very unique gifts. And one of the most amazing journeys is discovering what it is that you came to this planet for, and what are the gifts that you offer, because nobody can do it the way that you can do it.
Amen to that.
So the more that we embrace that and the more that we learn about ourselves in that regard, I really believe that that's a huge way that we charge ourselves up, because when we are giving our true gifts to the world, I find that's where we feel the most in alignment. We feel so connected to the light. We are cruising, and we are just like really feeling that we are living on purpose.
Amen to that. Like I can't say anything else over and above that. I mean, yeah, I can't. So that being said, since I have nothing to say in retort to that. You're doing a lot of really cool, compelling things. Where's the best place for people who have listened to this or watch this to connect with you, to maybe reach out or just bounce some things off of? Like, what's the best platform for people to reach you on?
Yeah, I would say Instagram, the Dancing Lotus Life is a great way. Direct message me there. I'm all about it. I love these conversations. I love just being able to be real with people. I joke, I love living in the deep end of the pool of life.
Amen.
Right? Like I can hang out a little bit in the shallow end of like having surface conversations, but I have a really hard time there without going all the way in. So if you are that person where you just like deep conversation, by all means, or it's totally cool if you want to have like just like a, hey, what's your favorite color? We could do that too. Hey.
Well, think about it, guys. Like you have a finite period here, right? I could drive out of my house tomorrow and a car could sideswipe me coming out of my driveway. Now I'm going to doubt it because I kind of live in a bit of a rural space and not a lot of cars are here, but I could be walking out of my office and a car could come barricading through the fucking wall and I'm gone. So speak your truth always. It might not always be pleasant for everybody else, but you got to live you, because when you live you and those around you who truly know you are going to be happy, because then guess what? They get to live to their true potential all the time, and uplift people for that, because the world needs more light. There's plenty of dark. Let's get the light going, because that's the mission with this, the whole series. Bringing the light.
Here's the coolest thing. When you live from that true, authentic place and you bring the light, it makes it so much more comfortable for everybody around you to do the same. It's crazy. It's a really cool effect that we have on each other. And I'm so grateful to you for doing a show like this and for all the work that you're doing, because I believe that it's really having that positive impact in that way. So I agree. Like, I just want to encourage everybody. Yeah, like it might not always be easy, but it will not always be easy. It's something where it not only brings you fulfillment, it really does have a positive impact on everybody around you, is what I've really noticed. And the thing is that it's okay if people aren't ready. It's totally okay. Right. They will go where they need to go and they will do what they need to do. And you will continue to attract people who are ready. And, but we'll always keep our hearts open for everybody whenever they want to live their authentic truth,
Awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to our many more conversations and our many more collaborations that are surely coming in the very, very near future. I'm definitely thankful for you and thankful for everybody down in Charleston. I definitely feel like I've kind of got a bit of a home there because of you guys. So
well, we're so thankful for you too. And you know you got a home here. SMADFAM for life, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, so as I end every video, at least recent memory, I like to end it with this little bit of a mantra that I'm inevitably going to put on a t-shirt and probably just give away because why monetize? But it's these three things. No, four, maybe five. Be happy is the first. Have fun is the second. Now, the third, I'm a bit snarky, bit sarcastic on this one, but hustle your fucking ass off. All right? Because this shit takes work. Anyway, but remember, and this is very, very, very important, there is no amount of hustle that can bring happiness or fun into your world. Think about it. So you got to have the first two before the third can even become anywhere close to relevant. And then, make time to breathe. Even if you just say the word breathe, you are forced to breathe. So make sure to take time to breathe too. Anyways, my friends, thank you for taking the time, an hour out of your Tuesday evening to join us for this. Jen, thank you. I'll have you hang around a little bit for a moment afterwards. But stay tuned for Friday. Friday at 6 o'clock, I'm talking to Mr. Jordan Jones, 18-year-old advocate for mental health. I'm really intrigued for this conversation. This conversation, as well as the conversation that I'm having with Jordan, will be available on YouTube as well as the audio form of the podcast, which, by the way, is nearing 500 downloads. Not huge numbers to many of you, but big numbers to me because this conversation, this is important shit. Yeah. And for each and every one of those 500, I'm grateful. So stay tuned for that. And then next week, we'll see who next week's guests are. Maybe Mr. R.D. Weeks will be joining us. We'll see. Anyways.
I think he might be. Maybe on the Friday.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyways, my friends, that's it. We'll see you guys on Friday. In the meantime.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye. Facebook and Instagram saying bye to everybody. All right.